One of the things that most people tell me when I tell them, so I eat a fruit-based diet, they usually say things like, don't you go around hungry all day? Like, how do you ever get satisfied eating just fruit? So today I want to talk a little bit about satisfaction and satiation when we're eating. I'm not going to get too technical about it. There are lots of hormones involved in the process. But today I want to just talk about two major factors that do play an important part in this situation, and that's volume and sugar. Okay? So when we're eating, when we're hungry, we seek out food. This is a natural, normal, physiological process. Animals get hungry and they seek out food. Then, of course, eating ensues. We start eating. But then the question comes, are we satisfied at some point? Like, will we ever come to a point where we'll stop eating out of satisfaction, satiation? Because most people, they stop eating maybe because of ideas, they eat a diet where essentially they're not eating our natural diet. So usually the reason they stop eating at a meal is usually because of either, oh, I should stop now, calorie restriction, which is necessary if you're not going to gain weight on a normal, unhealthy diet these days. So people calorie restrict, portion control, and they go like, I should probably stop now. And then they stop. The other thing that might stop people are discomfort, just pain and discomfort because you've eaten to your maximum capacity and beyond, and you've eaten heavy to digest foods that will just leave you feeling heavy, So neither of those two situations is actually qualifies as satiation. Satiation is when you are satisfied, when you're like, oh, that was a good meal, I'm so done, feel great, feel comfortable, no problem, I'm satisfied. That is satisfaction. And people, when they're trying out a raw vegan diet, they often tend to fail. It's just a common thing to fail on a raw vegan diet because they're not satisfied. One of the things that most people tell me when I tell them, so I eat a fruit-based diet, they usually say things like, don't you go around hungry all day? Like, how do you ever get satisfied eating just fruit? Because their experience with fruit is that it doesn't satisfy. It doesn't make them full and satiated. It just leaves them hungry for more, which usually is just a simple case of having too little of it, right? You have one banana or two, or a few apples, that kind of volume is what they're used to coming from a standard diet. And now that they're eating the same volume of fruit, it's just less calories. You need way more volume to get the same amount of calories that you're used to. So, but that aside, what I want to just mention today is the density of the food matters quite a bit. Because if you sit down with something really calorically light, like for example this apple, or apples, right? Pretty low in calories, yeah? A lot of water and not a lot of sugar. So that means to eat enough apples to be satisfied, suppose you're an adult and you're active and you need 2,500, maybe even 3,000 calories a day. Each meal, if you're eating 3 meals a day, should be around 1,000 calories, right? And that's about 2 kilos of apples, which is possible to eat, but if you're used to eating large volume, that is. But most people is going to struggle with eating that much volume, yeah? So take something like a banana though instead. These are not ripe, by the way. Bananas should be spotty and at least soft. You'll know when they're ripe when they're soft. Bananas, they pack something like 100 calories almost every 100 grams. So 1,000 calories of bananas, that's just a kilo of edible portion of banana. Much easier to accommodate a kilo of food than 2 kilos of food for the same amount of calories, right? Okay, so you can see how someone trying to subsist on apples on the raw vegan diet, especially in the beginning when they have a smaller stomach volume as well, they might get into some trouble, right? And what if the apples are not even ripe? If they don't have the sweetness that they should have? Or grapes or melons or whatever it is, high water fruits, when they don't have the sugar that they should have, the caloric density might be even lower, which means they would theoretically need to eat as much as 3 kilos or something, right, to get enough calories. And if you're not getting enough calories, if you're not getting enough sugar, as I mentioned earlier, it's sugar and volume. Without enough sugar, readily available fuel, you're not going to be satisfied, because let's face it, you're eating to get fuel. So if you're not getting the fuel, your body's going to crave food, obviously. Even if you had a huge meal of something really low in calories, like if you sat down and ate like cucumbers, which are super low in calories, you couldn't, no matter how much cucumber you fill your stomach with, you're still going to be hungry, because it didn't give you the sugar that you needed. So, okay, really low calorie fruits will not satisfy. Okay, you need the sugar. And the other thing was the volume. You need to fill your stomach with food to be satisfied. There are sensors in the stomach that sense satisfaction. So you need that perfect balance of sugar and volume. So something too low in calories might fill you up before actually giving you enough sugar. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, you have foods that are so dense that when they've filled you up in terms of calories, they haven't filled you up in terms of volume. For example, dates. Dates are very calorically dense, okay? There's not much water in them. So they pack about 300 calories per 100 grams. So that's just about 350 grams of dates to get 1,000 calories. Now, my stomach volume is about 1.5 kilo. That's usually what I need to eat of any juicy fruit like mangoes and papayas, bananas, in order to satisfy my caloric needs. So my stomach has accommodated that volume. Whereas if I were to eat dates until I was truly full, I would eat 1,500 grams of dates. That would be more than 4,000 calories. Okay, so that would mean, unless I was super duper active, that would be a pretty dense meal, which would mean I would essentially overeat. And also avocados, of course, high fat, so they don't even provide the sugar that you need. They don't provide that sugar, but they provide really densely packed calories on really low volume. Cooked food, really dense, a lot of calories, small volume. So you can see here how some foods, like dates, like cooked food, like avocados, they tend to be too dense to truly satisfy us, because when we had enough calories of them, we haven't had enough volume. So our stomach is still room for more. We're like, I want more food. So the most satisfying food you can eat will then be the food that sort of most accurately matches your caloric need at that time in terms of sugar. Remember, our body runs best on carbohydrates, easily digestible sugars found in fruits, vegetables. When that level of carbohydrate matches your stomach volume, okay, that would be ideal. And I found that bananas, if you're really active, they're perfect. They fill your stomach volume right up, and they give you those sugars that you need. Really satisfying. But if you're really inactive, eating apples might be okay, for breakfast or something. If you're really chill, no problem. But you probably then need something more dense later in the day. So when you're trying the raw vegan diet, or maybe you've done it for a while, and you're wondering why you're not satisfied after a meal of dates, why you're still craving something, or why you're not satisfied after a meal of apples, now you'll know why that might be. Think about that when you're eating foods. And I would suggest for most people, if you're not in the tropics and you want to succeed on a raw vegan diet, I suggest relying more on bananas than apples, maybe. But have a few apples if you want, if they're good. Rely more on mangoes, papayas if you can get them. Things that are sweet. Melons can be really good, but they need to be sweet. If it's not sweet, it's not going to satisfy you. Alrighty, so thanks for watching. If you want to get started on the raw food diet and don't know where to start, go to our website at sweetnaturalliving.com. We have a free ebooklet there about how to get started. So you can download that and off you go. Any questions, you can send them to us, you can post them to us. We do health coaching via Skype. We have a FAQ on our website, all kinds of things. Feel free to post questions and comments down below. And as always, subscribe, and I will see you around.